With CM Punk finally in WWE, the list of potential opponents and dream matches is already beginning to form in the minds of many fans. However, out of some of these, which ones am I looking forward to the most? Well, that's the subject of this episode, because today... Please support this channel by subscribing, and you could support it even further by signing up over on my Patreon page, just like with Ron Hawthorne and Mangy Stray. Thank you and the rest of the Patrons for all the amazing support as you keep this channel going. Alright, before we begin, I do need to point out that this is just a small sampling of all the prospective opponents for CM Punk. And so, if there's some others that you're curious about that you don't see covered in this video, well, let me know, and maybe I'll do a follow-up to this episode. Anyway, with all that being said, let's begin with the list. Alright, so first, obviously enough, is Seth Rollins. Now, the current World Heavyweight Champion has been long set up for his match against Punk, with Punk talking smack about him on the FS1 show, as well as Rollins more recently making comments about Punk as well before he came back to the company. And considering that the Shield was first brought onto the main roster thanks to CM Punk, well, it's safe to say that the storyline is pretty much there. And after fueling it even further with the exchange that the two men had after Survivor Series went off the air, it seems clear that not only should this match take place, but it almost certainly will as well. And so, with this being the match that has probably been set up the most, I gotta give it a 9 out of 10. While it has been said that AEW fans are merely just jaded WWE fans, well, I guess you could call this bout the match of the resentful former All Elite Wrestling employees, with Punk's recent issues with AEW being no secret, and Cody Rhodes being a former EVP also having his problems with the company being fairly well known. And in addition to that, both men are also extremely talented wrestlers, and they seem to share a lot of the same sensibilities when it comes to working. Now, I'm not expecting WWE to play into their relationship with their former employer very much, if at all. However, this bout will serve as a great example of the kind of thing AEW could have had if they played their cards differently. Now, if this match were to go down, of course I would be highly excited for it, and so I'm gonna give this also a 9 out of 10. When CM Punk called MJF just a less famous Miz, some fans started to think, what if things were the other way around? Now sure, both CM Punk and the A-lister have tangled multiple times, but after a program with MJF, it started to raise the question, what if they took that exact same program and put it in with someone who many see as a proto-Maxwell Jacob Friedman, if you will. Even if it's only half as satisfying as the MJF CM Punk feud, that's still gonna be pretty darn good in and of itself. And with the Miz's new approach being a smarmy babyface, this could also add another dimension to his character that could be brought to a new program with CM Punk that hasn't been seen before. Now personally, if this match were to happen, the only reason I'd be looking forward to it is because I just want more CM Punk and MJF, and this would be the closest I could get. So I'm not really super psyched for this. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Now, there are a whole lot of people out there expecting a big showdown between CM Punk and the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, perhaps even serving as a potential WrestleMania opponent to take down the Tribal Chief, maybe after winning the Royal Rumble, or maybe after defeating Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship title, therefore merging the belts together once again. Or it could be none of that. Either way, the point of the matter is, when you have major stars of this caliber, it's a natural fan reaction to want to see them go against each other. And also WWE management too, although personally, I'm not super hyped for this. First off, while CM Punk does do surprisingly well with big WWE guys such as John Cena, personally I still have to say that stylistically there's nothing intriguing me about Roman Reigns and Punk. But another reason why I'm not clamoring for this match is because due to Punk's recent injury history after winning world titles, titles, and also taking into consideration his age, I personally would be a little hesitant to put the belt on the voice of the voiceless. And while sure, I'm not against him taking the belt off of Seth Rollins, but that belt doesn't have nearly as much equity as Roman's title does. It's a completely different ball of wax. Now bear in mind, just like with The Miz, we have already seen Roman Reigns and CM Punk wrestle each other, but that wasn't really all that memorable, even though it happened on Old School Raw. Now granted, the Tribal Chief is a very different person than he used to be. He cuts promos differently, he has a different status, and he wrestles differently. And so if I'm willing to admit that The Miz is going to bring something different to the table if CM Punk were to face him again, well, that would also be true for the head of the table too. But even with that being said, I'm still not all that eager for this bout. And so while it still might be fantastic and the feud might be really enjoyable, I still have to say, believe it or not, I'm only ranking this 3 out of 10. It's no secret that I'm a big fan of AJ Styles, and I can't think of a better way to utilize him than putting him against that of CM Punk. And while the two have tangled before, it's been on a very low profile stage, and that was many years ago. And with that, I think this would be a perfect opportunity to put these two together and have them go at it for the masses, letting them both have that big fight feel that they definitely deserve. And just like with previous entries on this list, both of their indie-rific pasts can work together to have this serve as a true meeting of the masters. However, unlike what happened at All Elite Wrestling, AJ has never been that wrestler that carries around with him all the negative stereotypes that come from a lot of people who have wrestled for companies like PWG or Ring of Honor. And while AJ Styles is no spring chicken himself, well, at least when you got the minds of two of the best veterans in the business, then you should probably know that you're in fairly good hands. Now this one I am eagerly anticipating, and sure, it probably would have been better if it happened 10 years ago or so, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. 10 out of 10. For years now, it's been a long-awaited dream match for Stone Cold Steve Austin to take on CM Punk, and with Stone Cold coming out of retirement at WrestleMania 38 and CM Punk now back in WWE, this seems more possible now than ever, especially since it's been reported that CM Punk has allegedly made several pitches for this feud to happen. However, we don't know for certain that the Rattlesnake will ever come back, especially since his WrestleMania match against Kevin Owens in Texas seemed like a proper Stone Cold send-off. However, the mutual respect and the appreciation between both men does seem like it should lend itself to a fantastic match. And furthermore, if, just saying if, Stone Cold Steve Austin were to have another bout, CM Punk is a pretty good choice for it. Now this one I'm really torn on because I have no idea how this will possibly go down. But I do know I'd rather see this than CM Punk collecting his win back against The Rock. Although ultimately, if I'm gonna have two of my top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time facing off against each other, well, I don't care how old they are, I'm really not gonna complain all that much about it. So you know what? 7 out of 10. Now, speaking of Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 38, well, that leads us to... with Kevin Owens recently speaking his mind on how he feels about Punk's WWE return, saying, "I just want to have fun at work, so if he's got that mindset, great." And for the uninitiated, the two do have some history together, with it being reported that they got into it backstage, with some claiming that it was pretty significant, with other reports saying that the whole thing was rather exaggerated. Either way, this bit of gossip is enough to get some fans of the IWC interested, and so true or not, it can be something that WWE runs with, similar to how AEW played up things between Punk and Kingston. But all that aside, the two have never wrestled each other one-on-one on any significant stage, which is kind of shocking if you think about it. CM Punk and Kevin Owens rehashing potential beef? Well, you know what? I'm gonna give that an 8 out of 10. Well, there you go, 7 potential opponents for CM Punk now that he's returned to WWE. Which one of these do you like the most, and who did I not cover that you want to hear me talk about? Let me know down in the comments, and please make sure that you're a part of the Know It All Nation by subscribing to this channel, and that you give this video a big thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to all the wonderful Patreon supporters who keep this channel going. Thanks so much again, and as always, Dave knows.